Welcome to today's anatomy question. Today we're joined by Judith, Hanson, Lasater. Hi, Mama.
Hi, Lizzie.
So today we're doing another video from our Essential Alignment series, which are the 30 poses from your book, 30 Essential Poses. And today we've made it to pose 17, which is bridge pose or Setu Bandhasan. We have already recorded pose 16. You might want to click back and watch that. We talked about a concept called nutation, and this video is going to build on that. But what's the idea you have to share with us today to help us fall more deeply in love or practice more often this pose? Question 1. And question 2, why should we practice this pose?
Let's do question 2 first. It is a complete pose in and of itself. Strengthens the legs, it strengthens the back muscles, opens the chest, stretches the shoulders, but it's also a preparation for going all the way up, not just with the legs, but with the arms. It's the beginning stage of going into Urdhva Dhanurasana, which is upside down bow. And I think you should teach this pose to all beginners. It's a very useful pose. What we're going to do with it, well, let me review. Nutation. In back bending, in normal human back bending, whenever we back bend, the top of our sacrum goes forward and our tailbone goes back. So if you're sitting in a chair, do it with me, Lizzie, right now, and you back bend your lower back, your tailbone goes away from the floor, the mat or whatever.
Goes put it forward, meaning it's going
No, your tailbone goes away.
My tailbone is going this way, yeah.
It's going off the surface upon which you're sitting. And when you round your back and go into flexion, the tailbone goes down, right? So the top of your sacrum, when you arch, do it again. Your pelvis tips forward, your pubic bone goes down, and the top of the sacrum goes with it. Passive joint movement. This is normal. Write that down 500 times on the blackboard after this lesson. Then it's opposite of tucking. Tucking is not back bending, it's flexion.
Tucking is not back bending. Okay.
You cannot tuck and back bend at the same time.
Yeah, but a lot of people are teaching that and practicing that.
I suggest they're not following the laws of the body. Okay. Let's try it.
Let's try it. Before I'm going to pause this camera and turn on my yoga mat cam. I want to show people the website, www.experientialanatomy.yoga. Here's the place to join our community of yoga anatomy enthusiasts. Ready?
Ready.
All right. How do we start?
All right. The first thing you want to do is lie down, which is a promising beginning. And you want to bend your knees exactly like that. Now, turn your heels out a little bit. Now, yes.
Why? I find that hard to do in the pose. I constantly find my toes turning out.
That's correct. Because your gluteus maximus muscle, when it pushes to lift you up against gravity, uses all its fibers, and some of those fibers are external rotators of the hip. Okay. So what you want to do, though, but that changes the relationship between the thigh bone and in the hip socket.
Right.
Between the femur and the acetabulum, which makes back bending more difficult, mechanically blocking. So if you turn the heels out, in other words, if you internally rotate, you still get the gluteus maximus fibers that help you extend the hip and lift up against gravity, but you don't call forth those fibers who want to externally rotate in the hip socket.
Are you a real anatomy teacher or just a fake anatomy teacher?
No. That was kinesiology, though, Lizzie. That was kinesiology. That's how the orchestra plays. That's just not a naming of the instruments. Anatomy is the naming of the instruments. Cello, viola, first violins. That doesn't help you as a yoga teacher. And I mean, you must have that. But without that, you can't speak the language of movement, which is kinesiology, which is how does the orchestra play together? That's what we do in our courses, and that's what is so fun to teach. All right, so you're turning your heels out so you don't externally rotate the thigh bone, which interferes with, it changes the relationship in the hip socket, which makes it more difficult to back bend. And if you want to sometime after this video, you should all just stand up and turn your feet, separate your legs and turn your feet way out and just try to back bend standing. And you feel that block. And as soon as you turn the toes slightly inward in internal rotation and you're standing, you'll feel it's so much easier for the pelvis to move over the tops of the thigh bones. I'm not making this up. All right, so now we're going to do this back bend. Now, what is so interesting about this back bend, and I want to be clear, is to go up. The process of going up, you do need to tuck. And that helps you move your pelvis forward over, because this is the key to getting up in this pose. This is the key to getting up all the way up. In Urdhva yes, all the way up, is to move the pelvis over the legs. But as soon as you start getting up, there will be a natural dropping of the tailbone and lifting of the top sacrum, which is nutation, which is the final point where we want to be.
Okay.
Is that clear? Can you tell me that in your own words, Lizzie?
What we're working on today is the act of moving the pelvis over the legs.
Mm-hmm.
In the beginning of this pose, in the movement into the pose, you're going to ask me to tuck.
Lead from your tailbone.
Once I get into the pose, you're going to ask me to drop the tailbone, nutate, and back bend.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. Because if you just try right now, move your hands so we can see, please put your arms out wider. If you just try to lift straight up with the pelvis, arching by arching your back, think of your back arching, that you're not, you see how she's moving toward her head? Do it again. She's moving the pose toward the head. And that will, when you get up in Urdhva, that's a really bad habit to have, because when you get up into Urdhva, it will jam in the lower back. Now, if you tuck your tailbone, that's lift a tailbone up. Now the movement, are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Inhale, exhale, and move your pelvis, lead your pelvis between your knees, move it out and up, out and up. Yes. And now lift, let the pubic bone drop and lift more from the top back pelvis. Yes. And that opens your chest. How does that feel?
It feels good.
Turn your toes in, my darling.
I can't. This is
Yes, you can. Keep moving the pelvis like a bead sliding on an abacus, like a bead moving over your femurs. The pelvis is moving over the feet. Yes. And come down. How is that?
It's great. What I noticed is my head traveled so far this way.
Yes. So the art of getting up in Urdhva is to move over the feet and then come back toward the hands. If you try to push straight up using your back muscles, you won't be able to get off the floor. You have to use your legs. And this is the beginning of learning that action. Shall we try it one more time?
One more time.
Guess what I want to tell you about your feet?
I swear they're turning in. I can't do it anymore.
Okay. Never teach your family members yoga. Just say, oh, the pose looks wonderful. All right, here we go. Inhale the breath. Move toward the center of your brain. As you exhale, lift up, lead from the tailbone, go over the knees, out and up, and then lift. Yes, from the sacrum. So press the feet down into the floor, lift the pelvis up, draw the pubic bone down toward the floor. Really tuck the shoulders under you. How is it? You hold the outer feet. Yeah. And come down. So let's reflect for a minute. And then roll towards us, please, on your side and sit up. So the sequencing, this is a good pose to put, after maybe you've done cobra pose or bow pose, and then this pose, and then you could add Urdhva because this is the prep for it.
Okay. Namaste, Mama.
Namaste, Lizzie.
Tell us where we can find you on the internet.
www.judith.yoga.
www.judith.yoga.
Got to get the dots.
And I'm www.lizzieLasater.com. And more content like this, more videos about yoga plus anatomy, please find us at experientialanatomy.yoga.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Mama.